everyone. I will be talking about Conveyor, which is our product, and I will be doing that together with Pierre, which is one of the best software engineers that we have at Data-Minded. So I hope that's a good introduction for you, Pierre. So we'll be talking about Conveyor, which is our product that brings data products from ideation to production. As mentioned before by Oliver, we do 3 things at Data-Minded. We do consulting, we do academy and Conveyor, and they all try to do the same thing. We try to make organizations better in processing their data and giving better recommendations to teams. So consulting does that through consultancy practices. We help you making your data architecture. We help fixing your problems. With academy, we try to make your people better and make sure that you are better at fixing those things yourself. And with Conveyor, we try to take the lessons learned from both consultancy and academy and making sure that 80% of what we see in the data space is covered by that product, or at least a part of it. So what do we try to solve with Conveyor? There are 2 main use cases I want to talk to you about today. First one is migrating to the cloud. I know, Toon, that's maybe not the right message for you, but yeah, I'm sorry for that.
As long as you don't force me to do it.
Okay, it's fine. And a second thing that we can do with Conveyor is, I think, growing your data platform. We can help you with that. So migrating to the cloud, as many of you know, I think some of you already have migrated to the cloud. There's a lot of common pitfalls with that. So you might either start too big or too small. You might not have business on board, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. This actually results in a lot of unknowns when you're first migrating to the cloud, and this also results in an unknown timeline. It's often quite hard to do. And I think at Data-Minded, we can help you with that, both through our experience we've gained with consultancy, also with academy, just by teaching your people how to effectively use the cloud, but also with Conveyor. With Conveyor, you have a product that can enable you to just buy a managed part of your data platform and just get started quicker than you would if you have to do everything yourself. Second thing is growing the data platform. If you ever started building a data platform, you know that after a while it becomes harder. You have more data sources, more people using the platform. All of a sudden, things start becoming more complex because they're all asking for new features, right? Someone is asking for GPU instances, somebody wants to use Data Hub, and etc. And all of a sudden, maintenance also becomes a problem because all of a sudden you have 10, 20, 30 services you have to upgrade, maintain, and a lot of people that you have to support on your data platform. Data-Minded can also help you with that with consultancy, like picking the right track to grow your data platform, helping you figure out what do you need to tackle first. With Academy, we can also help teach your people in new technologies. Again, with Conveyor, we hopefully can lessen the burden by taking some of these pain points away and you don't have to maintain things anymore. And I think one of the success stories you've already heard today is Luminous. I know from Bart that in 2020, Q1, they started, actually in my opinion, with a very valid thing. They started with use case collection. They started first, what are the things that are most important to us that we want to move to the cloud and that we want to gain traction from? And then they started an internal study and an RFP to get started with that in Q2. And I think eventually Data-Minded was chosen to help guide Luminous in Q3 with migrating to the cloud. And actually rather quickly, then the implementation started in Q4. And I think in Q1, the first use case was live running on Conveyor. So that's actually rather quickly, in 1 quarter, we went from the first implementation and landing on the cloud to having the first use case live. And I think they scaled very quickly after that. In Q2, they scaled to multiple use cases. And I don't know if these numbers are exact, but I think at the end of 2021, you already had 7 use cases live, 25 users onboarded, and we've had more up-to-date numbers from Bart today. But I think this is one of the best success stories of Data-Minded. The 3 pillars are working together here of Data-Minded. We help them through consultancy on guiding on how to do this. We also do academy there to teach their own people how to get started with this. And we also use Conveyor there to just get started very quickly. So the next part of the talk will be done by Pierre, my colleague, and he will tell you how Conveyor fits in your data platform.
Thank you. Staying here with me. Oh, nice.
I'll go.
You can stay. So Stijn has been telling you about what Conveyor already is doing in the wild. Let's see what it could do for you in your next data platform. Sorry, other direction. Okay, so the first thing that Stijn mentioned is migrating to the cloud can be really overwhelming. And I mean, you're not going to learn anything new on that slide. You've seen actually the same slide in multiple presentations today, but everything from data sources to ingestion, storage, processing, and of course, delivering some data science and machine learning use cases up to the final output. Let's remember that's actually, all this work is only worth it if you deliver something, be it a live application, a dashboard, or a model. And then once you've done all of that, you still need to take care of things like data governance, data quality, workflow management. A big topic is obviously privacy and security. And then, of course, once you've built all of that, you want to be able to observe what it's doing, is it performing well. So the trend today is a lot of companies are going for off-the-shelf solutions for each concern, because by solving any of those problems, you're not solving any of your business cases, right? So here I just put names of some big guys on each of those categories. You probably recognize them. And the point is that they each solve a particular concern. So, and here I'm also showing solutions for the transversal concerns, let's say. So why am I showing you this? Is I want to position Conveyor or product in this landscape. And so let's do that on the next slide. Conveyor actually sits center in the processing layer. So it's a runtime engine for your data pipelines. And we also, because this really goes hand in hand, it goes together with the workflow management. So this is really the core of what Conveyor can help you with, and we're going to show in more details what this means. On the side, Conveyor doesn't stop there. It also helps with ingestion, like Bart mentioned. It also helps to some extent with data science, with notebooks. We do offer some features for privacy and security, and then, of course, we let you monitor the whole platform. So let's see what this means in practice. Okay, so now it's time to think a little bit about data projects, and I think today we had a sample of a bit of everything that exists in the data landscape. So many data projects are just ETL processes for BI applications and dashboards. Some of them are advanced machine learning cases, like we had good demonstrations of. Sometimes you're earlier in the process and you just want to explore your data and you want to be able to do some data science. And then finally, you can go to very advanced streaming applications, which are, notably very hard to do. And what do they share? Like, I mean, what is in common between those seemingly very different applications? Well, obviously, you need to build them, test them, deploy them. You need to orchestrate and run them, and then you need to monitor them. And that is really why we built Conveyor, is that no matter which technology you want to use, no matter which use case you want to deliver, you need to do all of that. Hence, the analogy with the Conveyor, it's really something that brings you from your ID to production. So Conveyor really takes your ID through experimentation, building, deploying, running, scaling to the final product. And today, specifically, I just want to emphasize on this part here, highlighted. So deploying your projects, running them, and scaling them. So let's see how Conveyor can be seen as the core of your data platform runtime. This relies on 3 pillars. The first one is the processing engine, because you write code, it needs to be executed somewhere. And that's where Conveyor shines. We have deep integration with Apache Spark, with dbt. You can write your custom code with Python or any technology that you can put in the container. So there's really no limitation to which technology you want to use. We just provide the execution part. On the side of that, once you've built something, you want to deploy it and monitor it, and you want to do continuous deployments. We mentioned that a few times already today. Conveyor makes it super easy to integrate with your continuous integration and deployment pipelines. And then finally, and that is a bit more specific to data projects than software engineering in general, you want to orchestrate all your data pipelines. You have many tasks, like Stijn mentioned, we're talking about thousands of tasks that have interdependencies, and that need to run on a fixed schedule every day and so on. So those are the three pillars that Conveyor really helps with. The first one being, like I said, the processing engine. And Conveyor is really striving to automatically run and scale with your data projects. It is the easiest way to run Spark and dbt in the cloud, as far as we know. It helps you monitor your cost and reduce your cloud bills by using spot instances, by using t-shirt size instances. The point being trying to really get the most bang for your bucks on your cloud bills. And then finally, it automatically scales with your data so that you really focus on your business cases and not so much on the technicality of it. The first feature that we have and that really we get a ton of positive feedback about is Conveyor Run. So what is this? It's a feature that allows fast iterations from your developer laptop with a single command. So by running Conveyor Run on your laptop, what you get is a whole bunch of things. You get your code, your test, and your DAGs built and validated. They get remotely executed on your cluster, and they get the same data access as your production payloads will have. So what I mean by that is that they leverage the same mechanisms, so they do it for the right purpose, and nothing is running on your laptop. And then finally, you get feedback through logs. And so this is saving a ton of time in your deployment, in your development experience, because you can iterate many times over and over again. And so this is really a feature that makes a lot of customers happy. Once you've been building locally, actually remotely, but from the comfort of your laptop, you want to go to the next level. And the next level is deploying continuously, because what you want is to end in a state where releasing is not a big deal. You do it 5 times a day, 10 times a day, so no big deal. So we've just seen local iterations that you do here, single command, Conveyor Run. Next step is to build your project. And once you build it, you publish it to the cloud. Again, single command. You don't need to care about any of the infrastructure behind that. And finally, we get to the deployment phase. And typically, we also talked about that today, you want to deploy to phased environments, so typically to a staging environment first. Once you're on staging, you want to do automated tests and validations. And once you're happy, you can deploy to production. And you do that to promotion, which means taking the exact same things that were deployed to staging, that have been tested and validated, and you push them to production. Conveyor makes this whole pipeline super easy to implement. And then you start the virtuous cycle of iterating and making it better and making it many times a day. So this is for deployment. Now let's talk about monitoring very briefly. Conveyor makes it super easy to monitor your data processing with 2 things mainly: logs. So the logs are collected by Conveyor and available in easy to reach UI for each task that is running on the cluster. And then you can search and you can find your errors and you can find everything. And then next to that, you have metrics, which really allows you to look at CPU usage, RAM usage. Why is that important? First of all, for debugging. If something is getting out of memory, you see it here immediately. If something is really slow, you could maybe check that the CPU usage is too high. But also for cost. If you realize that it's really very underutilized, then you should probably save cost by using smaller instances and so on. So Conveyor comes with all of that baked in, no matter which technology you're actually using under the hood. This could be a dbt job or Spark job, right? Or a Python job or a Java job, whatever flavor you like. So we talked about the 2 first pillars. The last pillar is orchestration. I don't have that much to say about this. I think Airflow is quite well established. I think in a presentation this morning, we had it was the centerpiece of the group, managing all the pieces. Well, Airflow is something we decided to integrate quite deeply with in Conveyor. And so for each of your projects, you have Airflow embedded. We manage it for you, and you can check easily your dependencies. You can see the orchestration of past tasks. So you can see at a glance, you can see what's going on, what has failed, how much time does it take for your pipeline to run daily, and so on. And so those are the 3 pillars we cover in Conveyor. Now, we talked about deploying, running. Now I will finish here with scale. So I think we already touched a bit on scaling, which Stijn explained a little bit. Like you can imagine like the story of DPG going from a few projects to hundreds of projects. it comes with challenges on two fronts. The first one is technical. Obviously, you need to scale technologically. So for that, Conveyor offers a managed Kubernetes cluster, and we auto-scale. And I think I mentioned all of the other things, like the Spark integration, the t-shirt size. On-demand and spot instances is a very important one to manage your costs and reduce your cloud bills. But then on the other side, when scaling, you have other issues. And those issues are on the people front. And again, we come back to it. People are a very important part of this equation. So imagine you're scaling from a single team, single project to multiple teams and hundreds of projects. You really want to make sure that only the right people access the right data. That would be with RBAC. You want to integrate with your identity provider. You want to make sure that costs are not blowing up, because if each team is starting to spawn instances like crazy, you want to keep that under control. And then finally, it's all about this equilibrium between freedom for each team, and yet you want a control environment. And this we offer through templates, where you can provide best practices through templates as the platform team, and yet you let each team decide on what they want to use. So I will conclude with that. Of course, we barely scratched the surface. We didn't even show you the product. Actually, you had like 2 screenshots. But we are more than happy to talk to you about anything you want to know about Conveyor. And I don't know, Stijn, if you want to add something, or otherwise.
I by accident turned on this microphone, so.
Yeah. Well.
No, I think what I want to add, if you want to know more, just talk to us here on the floor. You can talk to me or Pierre or to Chris. And we can also set up a meeting if you want to. But I hope you kind of have a feeling now why Luminous and DPG Media chose to work together with us and why it helps them to achieve the scale and the speeds that they gain by using this product. So that's it.
Yep.